We are watching Eli's underwater breaststroke, commentary by Coach Chris. And again, we're going to just play this through real quick. And you can kind of just see how his hips are just hiding a little bit lower than we want. I mean, he's definitely, he's so close to getting the body position that we want on this. It's you know, the small increments, small changes to get it perfect are the hard ones to nail. But he's right there. And here's a few things we're going to talk about that he can do to get those hips up higher and help him get that body up higher. Now you can see in his stroke, I mean, look at the angle his arms are on. We talked about that. You know, his arms are right here. And, you know, he's reaching straight out across the water, not down. That is exactly what we want. So his arm recovery as he shoots his hands forward, spot on. Good hip drive back into the kick. All right, so here's a perfect spot for us to talk about this. Okay, so he's going to come up. Very nice. Okay, brings the hips forward a little bit. I'd like to see him kind of get these hips just a little more forward. And what that's going to do is that's going to load a little more power into his kick. Because if you watch, as you come up in breaststroke, he's pushing his hips forward. As he drives the kick, you'll see the hips drive back. See that hip drive right there? You can see it right there. So here he's loaded. And then, boom, that's driving the kick right there. Those hips sliding back into the heels. Okay, that's exactly how you want to drive that kick. Now, the one thing I think he can work on, because right now he's got a good angle on the kick, right, is just trying to really accelerate those feet and just try and let the kick drive this hip a little bit closer to the surface. Okay, because right now he's kind of just keeping his hips right about the same level. So as he follows through, boom, you know, his hips are just kind of staying static, and part of that's where his head is. As his head comes down, he does that right, gets it through the arms. You can see his face, but we can see here the back of the head is well above the arms. There's the back of the head right there, right? And what we want is we want the back of the head, we want the arms basically along the back of the head. So we want the back of the head a little bit further down. We shouldn't be seeing this white cap above the arm, or at least as much of it as we are seeing. So you can tell by where he's looking. If you look at where he's looking, goggle-wise, we'll draw a line here. You know, he's looking this way along that arrow. And one thing that helps get that head down is if we look a little bit down below us. I always tell the kids, look at your shadow. Look underneath you. Look underneath your chest or your belly button, somewhere in that range at the bottom. And what that would do is, because the eyes are down, it'll pull the head down to that depth we want. And if that head goes down, those hips are going to follow. Which is exactly what is keeping his hips low right now. So just look a little bit further back on the bottom. Keep the eyes on that spot, and those hips will come up. Now we're approaching that wall. We talked about this. Okay. Last stroke. See those elbows bend? That's what we talked about on the above water video. Just collapsing the arms, getting the body in too tight. And now the only way to get those feet to the wall is to come up. And he kind of comes up a little bit. But when you hit the wall, he just wants to keep his head down and just keep those arms locked as he brings his feet underneath him. And that'll keep that space. Now this is an interesting position, okay? Because one of the things I noticed on that pull out above water, you know, I'd like to see a little more glide here before this dolphin kick, and then ride a little more glide. He's keeping his head down on this pull. That's really good. But we're ending that pull a little bit too much wide to the outside. See his hands here? His hands are out almost exactly to his side. I want to see those hands tucked on the top of his thighs so that he's nice and streamlined and everything's nice and compact. Because right now those hands are out to the side. They're dragging through the water. They're widening his drag profile. So as he pulls through on this last stroke, on the arm pull underwater, you know, get the hands underneath you. Get the hands in front of your thigh. You know, part of that is how wide the pull is. I mean, we look, he's widening all the way out here. And this pull's more like the butterfly pull. He wants to get the hands tighter into the body. At this point, the hands should be just under the chest. You're going to be pushing down the body as opposed to outside of the body. So just get the hands a little bit tighter in, a little bit more underneath you instead of out to the side, and a little bit tighter. So you're pulling forward. That's kind of where a lot of the power is. And the ending position should be pull, slide the hands down, and they should end right on top of the thighs, as if you're sitting and you put your hands in your lap. That's the exact position he wants to be as he does that second glide. And we can kind of see the feet wiggling as we get to this glide. See the feet moving? Just need a little bit more patience on that middle glide after those hands get to the thighs. Lock it in, point the toes, keep the legs together and streamline so that we cut through the water. Because that middle glide after the pull is the fastest part of the breaststroke. Really good sweep. See how tight you keep the hands? Sweep, nice and tight, kick. Okay, still a little bit too much water between the head. You want the head to be just about to break the surface. I mean, just starting to break the surface. And part of this problem is the glide off the push-off wasn't long enough. He started that dolphin kick really quickly, and what that does is it speeds everything up. But he's still going to have the same amount of time underwater. So if we get more of this last little bit of space at the front end of the front glide before that dolphin kick, then he'll time this a lot better. Again, really nice on that body position. Just not quite getting the hips in the right position. It's really, really just a result of getting the head down and looking a little bit further back underwater. But I'm seeing a lot of the stuff we're talking about and a lot of the stuff that we're working on show up here. So keep up the good work. Try and change where you're getting those eyes. Try and keep more space between you and the wall on those turns. Make sure you're working the glides a little better. More front glide before the dolphin kick. Tighter in with the hands. Tighter in with the streamline of the body with the feet. Get everything nice and tight on that second glide after the pull, on that pull out. And then just ride it and then keep the sweep and everything the same. And your breaststroke should be off and running. So keep working on what you're working on. Try and keep working on that high body position, and we'll just keep getting better and better. But I like a lot of what I'm seeing is what we're working on, and it's showing up here. Good job.